All right, our objective for today, I can summarize data and compute the measures of central tendency. Let's read together, 1, 2, 3. I can summarize data and compute the measures of central tendency. Now, some of you already saw these measures of central tendency before, probably last year. And if you did, this is going to be a review. But for some of you that have not, today is going to be something that you will clarify as to what they're talking about in regards to measures of central tendency. Now, for statistics, these measures are used often for computing data that they really need to focus on. So, to get started, what are measures of central tendency? Measures of central tendency are commonly used measures of center for a set of numerical data that represent a central or typical value of a set of the data set. Once again, measures of central tendency are commonly used measures of center for a set of numerical data that represent a central or typical value of a data set. Copy that, please. All right, so let me break down the definition really quick. I know it's pretty lengthy, but if we break it down, we understand exactly what it's talking about. Look at the first part. It says, commonly used measures of center. They're talking about the main word here is commonly used measures. Measures. That's the key word. So what does that mean? What if I ask you to grab a ruler and go measure something? What does that do? You calculate a distance, right? Therefore, measures are going to be some process of calculating patterns on a data set. I'm going to give you that right now. Give me a second. The second part, it says set of numerical data. That's the data I'm going to give you. Does that make sense? So we're going to be calculating some patterns using that data that I give you. Now, it says here that represent a central or typical value of the data set. The word central, or here measures of central, means that it's in the center or it's within a focus that you are going to look at. So that's why right now I'm going to give you this. The data, you're going to find out which are the center focus of that data. So watch. Here on the examples, I'm going to write some numbers. Those are not the measures of central tendency. And you're saying, well, why are you writing them here, Mr. Q? Because we need the data so I can show you the measures of central tendency. Does that make sense? So write these down. Write these numbers down. I have 75, 75, 85, 95, and 100. What do they mean? They can mean whatever. So, for example, I can say these are the last 5 scores on a party in percent that Russell scored. So let's see, 75, 75, 85, 95, and 100. Right? That could be that, right? Or it could be these, let's see, April this month has 5 Fridays. Okay. These are the amounts of money spent on a Friday for the month of April that Carson spent at the mall. So the first Friday, 75, another 75, 85, 95, and 100. Okay? It could be that. Or it could be the Weather Forecast Network forecasted each Friday of the month of April the following high temperatures. The first Friday was 75 degrees, the next one 75, 85, 95, and then all of a sudden it starts increasing to 100 because the closer we get to the summer, the hotter it gets, right? That could be also. But for right now, it's just numbers. Now, are these the measures of central tendency? No, this is just data. Everybody following so far? Yes. So let me show you the first measure of central tendency. And so some of you are going to be like, oh, I remember. The first measure is called the mean. Okay? So the mean, how do you find the mean? You add all the numbers, 75 plus 75 plus 85 plus 95 plus 100. And then you divide it by the amount of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how you get 86. Copy that. Another Another one that some of you already know how to use that is also finding the mean is when you find your GPA. Who knows how to compute their GPA? That's finding the mean, also known as the GPA, also known as the average. So underneath where you write mean, write average. Average. Copy that. Okay? So far so good? Now we're talking about computation. We're not talking about people that you know from this class that are mean. All right? So, the second measure of central tendency is this next one, median. Now, the median of a data is found by organizing the data from least to greatest. And what word does median remind you of? Middle. So looking at this data that's organized from least to greatest, which number's in the middle? So point an arrow to 85 and circle it, and that's our median. Median. Another word for median would be what? Middle. Another word for median could be also Malcolm. No? Okay, never mind. Now, in another class, they're like, well, Mr. Q, this is easy to find because there's 5 numbers and the number's in the middle of the 5. But what if we had 6 numbers, such as if I add another number here? Well, check this out. Look up, please. The middle of this set of data is right here, and there is no number there. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a plus right in the middle. We're going to take the 2 numbers that are closest to the middle, add them, and divide by 2. And that's how we get our median. Boom. That just happened. That just happened. Any questions so far with the first 2 measures of central tendency? Okay. And the last one. Here we go. The last measure of central tendency is the mode. Now, looking at the data, look at the data. According to what we saw, it's 75. Tell your neighbor why the mode is 75. Yes. Oh, okay. We'll get there. All right. So I heard because it happened more often, because the frequency is the most of the other, and yes, I'll take all those correct answers. Okay, or because it happens most of the time. Now check this out. So that you, and once again to relate it, so that you understand another word for mode. It sounds really close to the word moda, right? In Spanish or in Latin. That word translated in English is called fashion. Now, why do they use the same word? What does that mean? Whatever is in fashion for the time is something that you're going to see the most often out and about. For example, not too long ago, the last Star Wars movie came out, Force Awakens. And guess what happened right after it? All of a sudden, they were selling mugs, they were selling T-shirts, underwear, everything. So guess what? Anywhere you went, you saw people with their lightsabers. You saw them like, their folders with Star Wars and stuff like that. So what was the mode? Star Wars. However, let me put it to you now this way. Sometime further back, I remember that a movie came out. It was the first movie of the Hunger Games. So when that movie came out, I remember that it was very anticipated. There were people staying outside the theater till 4 in the morning waiting for it or whatever the case. And then all of a sudden, a week later, they came out with the last part of the series of those vampire movies. Well, what are they called? Yeah, that one. So they were almost back to back, like 1 week after the other. They were both released. And guess what? Everywhere you went, Either people had either the book or the pin or whatever of the Hunger Games, right? Or they were worrying stuff about the vampire thing, right? So what was the mode? Both of them. Does that make sense? It's the same thing with numbers. So look up. What if you looked at the data and I had this? So what would be my mode? 75 and 100. That can happen. I'm just showing you how it's applied to a real world situation. Now let me show you what is not, and by the way, these are the only three measures of central tendency. Let me show you what is not a measure of central tendency. Look up. The range. The range is not part of the measure of central tendency. Even though your teacher might have introduced it in the past with the others, which today we're also going to also practice, but that is not part of the measures of central tendency. Okay? But how do you find the range? Let's see. According to this data, the highest value is 100. The lowest value is what? 75. Therefore, the total is? You subtract them. That's how you find the range. Okay? I know. Let me show you also what is not measures of central tendency. These. Why are these not the measures of central tendency? Tell your neighbor why these are not measures of central tendency. Okay, say it out loud, Caden. It's just data. There's no computation done. There's no patterns figured out. Thank you, sir. Victor Aguirre. So, things to remember. How many measures of central tendency do we have? So write that in here. There's 3 different measures. And what do they do? They show us typical values of the data. Just they show us typical values, or they show us patterns that we need to look for. It's on your screens on the iPad. Okay. So now, so far we covered the measure of central tendency, which are mean, medium, and mode. And then we covered what was not, which is the range. But we are going to be doing all those 4. Does everybody understand? So the definitions for those 4 terms are as follows. You don't need to copy these. But it says exactly what we just did. What does the mean or the average do? You find the sum of the data and divide it by the number of items. Did we do that? Yeah. The median, just go to the middle once you have it in order from least to greatest. The mode is the one that occurs most often. And the range is the difference between the greatest and the least. Are we there? All right, there's also steps. Check this out. Don't copy these for right now because we're going to revisit this lesson tomorrow. We're going to split it into 2 days. Today we're going to do steps 1 and 2. Step 1 says organize data from least to greatest. And then we're going to identify the mean, median, mode, and range. Everybody with me? And tomorrow we're going to revisit and come back to do the upper quartile and the lower quartile, standard deviation, and we're going to summarize. Okay? So with that said, on your paper, copy this example down, example 1A. 1A, it says, find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data set. Okay, here it goes again. What did we say? The measures of central tendency are what? Mean, median, and mode. What did I say? That we're going to do those 3 plus the range because we need the range for something else that we're going to do tomorrow. Okay? So, copy that, please. And the values given are 4, 7, 8, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2. Copy that. All right, let's do this one together. Step 1 is to organize it from least to greatest. Is that correct? Yes. Which is the least one? 1, comma, check that off. How many 2s? 3, so 2, 2, 2. Bless you. How many 4s? 1, 2. And then we got 7 and 8. 7 and 8. So now we organize it already from least to greatest. By looking at it, what would be the easiest measure to look at? Okay, here it goes again. By looking at what we just did here, what is the easiest measure of sense of tendency to write? The mode. So what is the mode? 2. That's the easiest to do and identify right away. What is the second easiest? The median. Median. And let's see, but in this case we have 8 numbers. Do we have a middle number here? No, so you put a plus because we don't have a middle number. So therefore, the 2 closest are 2 and 4, so that means 2 plus 4, and at the end you divide by 2. 2 plus 4 is 6 divided by 2, that is 3. How are we doing? Okay. From there, the third one is the mean. The mean. So, to find the mean, what do, everyone? Add them all and divide by how many? 8. So let's see. 8 plus 7, that's 15. Plus 4, that's 19. Plus 4, that's 23. Plus 2, that's 25. And 2, 27, 29, 30. So we're going to write 30 divided by how many numbers total? 8. And that should give us our mean. So 30 divided by 8 fits in there 3 times. That's 24. 6, add a decimal and a 0, fits in there 7 times. 56, that's a 4, add another 0, and that is 5 times. That's 40, and we're done. So therefore, the mean is 3.75. Everybody know what I mean? And the last one that is not a measure of central tendency, but we're going to find it, is called the what? The range. The range. And how do we find the range? We get the greatest subtracted from the smallest, and that gives us 7. Piece of cake? All right, so with that said, I'm going to forward the screen. You're going to do the next one by yourself, okay? So here we go. So this one you're going to do by yourself, and it's going to be on your screen coming up. Lock your toolbar, and as soon as you find me those 4 things, send that to me, please. Okay? And in the meantime, I'm going to post the home play on the screen over here so that once you're done sending me that, when you copy your home play for tonight. Ready, go. Okay, once again, the home play for tonight is only 3 sets of data. You're going to find me the mean, median, mode, and range. And there is no home play. There is no tutoring today, so make sure you work on that. All right. Press send to see what you send me, and go ahead and log out. All right. So show me with your fingers how comfortable you are with the measure central tendency and range. Okay, that's 10. That's a 10. Thank you. 4, 5, 10. All right. Pretty good. All right. So as soon as you copy your home play, yes. Yeah, right now when I finish recording, I'm going to upload it, and it should be on the YouTube channel. All right. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your home play. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.